So anyway, what I was saying is that, I was saying something like, it's Saturday morning, and you've all come here for a reason. So as you sit here listening to me and pondering what I've just been saying, you may already be thinking about how much more you're capable of than you previously thought. Because you've all made certain changes in your life over the years, haven't you? And you've all learned certain things and had certain experiences. So as you think back on some of the most positive and powerful and inspirational of those experiences, you can allow yourself to literally start the process of inspiring yourself to ever greater accomplishments and achievements. It doesn't cost any extra. So that's an example of pacing and leading. Saying things that are verifiable. So what are some verifiable things that I said? It's Saturday morning. Yeah, what else?
You're sitting here for a reason.
You're sitting here. You came here for a reason. You're listening to me. The cool thing about assuming that someone's listening to you is they can't really say, no, I'm not. There's a bit of a mind in there. It's like, yeah, I got you there. And what are some examples of non-verifiable things I said?
Pondering.
Yeah, as you ponder the things I've just been saying. Well, that wasn't true, and yet what happened as soon as I say, as you ponder the things I've just been saying? Pretty much, or it's likely anyway. What else did I say that's non-verifiable?
You may or you may not.
Yeah, I used that kind of vague language, what they used to describe Erickson as using artfully vague language, and we'll talk about that a bit later. Yeah, you may have been doing this. What's one of the things I invited you to do, a non-verifiable thing that I invited you to do? There were a couple of things. Well, I invited you to, I said something like, as you, this, that, and the other, you can allow yourself to consider all the positive experiences you've had and, some of the most inspirational things that have happened to you, and allow those to inspire you as you think about what other achievements and possibilities you're capable of. Something like that. So asking you to look back to good stuff that's happened and then to project that forward to allow yourself to expand your possibilities and your horizons and your ideas of what your own potentialities and capabilities are, continuing to expand into and become as you sit here and as you, imagine going out from here in the future.
So, when we use these verifiables, use the first thing, use a non one. So as you go along, you can then throw in another verifiable, just so that if you get a sense that whoever you're speaking to starts to just kind of like think, hang on, well, no, that isn't true.
Absolutely. And the general pattern is like this. Start with a bunch of verifiables and then throw in a non-verifiable. And then start to shift the balance from verifiable to non-verifiable. And if you do this, then one of the things you'll begin to discover as you allow yourself to practice this and do it more and more is that you start to find yourself doing it automatically. And doing it without even having to think about it. Because I know that as you sit here listening to me, you may be thinking, gosh, that sounds very structured. That seems like a lot to do. And that's what it was like for me at first as well. But one of the things you'll really begin to enjoy once you've had the opportunity to put it into practice and allow yourself the chance to really just play around with it. Because the other thing that I've found very interesting, and a lot of the discoveries I've made that have helped me learn this stuff and help other people to learn more quickly, and is that there are certain things that kind of hung me up, and in my efforts to overcome them, I found that new things were possible. One of the things I used to get hung up about was I wanted to make sure I said the right words and did it the right way and got it right and didn't say something stupid. But check this out. Arse, bumholes, dummkopf, sauerkraut. I can say stupid stuff. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can literally, just as an exercise, I've never done this before, but let's try it out. Everyone go, arse. Say bicycle. Say leather sausage trousers. See? And everything's still okay. The roof hasn't fallen in. Nothing bad has happened. And the funny thing is, you can say anything and people will try and make sense of it. And that was a real liberation for me, because I suddenly realized, hey, you don't need to know what you're going to say before you say it. You can just, because language generation is an unconscious facility. So when you set a direction and you know what direction you want to go in, you can allow your unconscious to produce the words that are going to be most suitable for the situation. And if the first few times you do it, you say arse or dumb cough or leather sausage trousers, that's okay too. It doesn't matter, especially in here. Is everyone okay for this to be an experimental learning laboratory where stuff happens that's cool and powerful? Good. So this is the first thing I'd like you to do. I want you to get into pairs. Actually, let's do this in threes. Get into groups of 3. And I want you to take turns just doing verifiables and then non-verifiables based on being in the room here. So let's have some more. What are some things that are true right now, verifiable?
Sun's shining.
The sun's shining, sure.
It's Saturday.
It's Saturday. You can hear certain sounds. Is that true for anyone? Can anyone not hear certain sounds?
I've got a really bad cold.
Huh?
I've got a really bad cold.
James has a really bad cold. So James, you've been feeling as though you had a really bad cold. And as you sit here listening to me, you may be, and so on. So what are some non-verifiables you might want to guide people towards? And let's keep them nice, positive things. What are some directions you might want to lead people towards?
Learning lots.
Learning lots? Great.
Feeling good.
Feeling good? Several more.
Going to start using this.
Going to start using this stuff. Yeah, great. So what I'd like you to do before you start working with the people you're working with is set a goal in your mind. And if it's for learning lots, imagine the person you're talking to learning lots, whatever that looks like to you, and literally see them and hear them and feel what you'd feel like if they were having that experience. If you're imagining them putting this stuff into practice, literally see them putting it into practice in your mind's eye. It's okay if you can't visualize, just pretend that you can visualize. That's all. It's not an issue. Now, why do you think it would be useful to actually see and hear and feel what you want, basically, as vividly as possible? Why would that be useful? Sure. Why else?
Because what you believe affects what your individual's going to do.
Sure. That's absolutely true. What else?
Get into that state.
You'll get into that state? Sure. What else?
Does it define a goal?
Gives you a really clear goal. Absolutely. What else?
You know when you got it.
You'll know when you got it. And so those are all great reasons to do it. There's another reason as well, and it's that language is a relatively new arrival, but your deeper neurophysiology, your mind and body, have developed for the world of things and experience. Now, if you say, okay, my goal is to help people, to learn and to put this stuff into practice really easily, we get that conceptually. And that process of transderivational search that I told you about, so it'll get converted into pictures and sounds and smells and tastes and that sort of thing. So your brain will do that and you'll know what you're aiming at. However, when you do it vividly, when you vividly imagine the other person having the experience you want them to, as though they're already having it, you see it in your mind's eye and hear and go through that in a very vivid way, the unconscious really gets it. It kind of goes, oh, that's what you want. And then all of a sudden, all your language starts lining up with it. And the more you feel how you'll feel when they've got what they want and get into that feeling state, the more your unconscious lines up with that too. And then the language comes out automatically, more and more. So those are all reasons why I strongly recommend setting your goal vividly. It's not because goals are a good thing to do, it's because it's how your unconscious and your neurophysiology work. So get into groups of 3. Do this for about 3 or 4 minutes apiece.